That big boss, less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level. Second level gaming. Second level.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another Couch Conversation with myself and Keegan. Today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit close to our hearts. It's something that we discuss off camera quite a lot, and that is just diversity in general. So more specifically for us, diversity in the video game world. Mm-hmm. So what that means is not necessarily, talking about black characters or white characters or whatever, just more so the fact that in every size, shape, and form, women seem to be misrepresented in games as being just like sex objects a lot of the time. Minority characters of any non-white persuasion
few and far between
tend to be non-existent for the most part, and also LGBTQ characters tend to be very, very rare, and I understand both sides of the story for this, but we thought it would be interesting to have an honest conversation about it, being two middle-aged white males.
Yeah. It's interesting because what kind of got me on the conversation, I was watching an IGN video, and I've been playing GTA 5, which has Franklin as one of the lead characters, and then Michael, and I watched an interview with the guys who played Michael, Franklin, and Trevor, and they talked about kind of how their backgrounds are all different, because those guys are essentially those characters.
Right.
It's really interesting if you watch, I can't remember who did it, but it's a really interesting interview with all three of them together. That, and then just thinking about Watch Dogs, when that was announced, there's been a few people who've been upset because it is a black person as the lead, which I think should be an issue in 2016, but it is.
No, it's sad, isn't it? I mean, it wasn't just that. Like recently, there was something else that happened where I can't remember. It wasn't Watch Dogs. It was something else entirely, where they said that it was going to be a black character. Oh, it was fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens, when they showed Finn for the first time.
And people boycott it, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
really?
Boycott it because this one of your main characters is a black dude, which is just frankly upsetting.
It's real dumb.
Real dumb, and it does carry over to video games. It is a trait all around Hollywood. I mean, I think that definitely in terms of movies, it's come a further way than it has with video games. I feel like movies definitely.
Look how long it took the industry to do it, though.
Right, and it took them a while to open. And even now, though, there's still there's shit like with what's this recent movie?
Ghostbusters?
Doctor Strange. No, Ghostbusters is equally awful.
Since it's all female, people had a lot of issues.
Right,
with that.
yeah, that was stupid. But Doctor Strange, they had Tilda Swinton, whatever. Tilda playing a character that was supposed to be played by like an Asian character or something, and they chose her for, I'm sure, her acting chops, but at the same time, it was completely kind of a slap in the face to a lot of actors that would have done very well in that role and were not offered that role. And instead it was given to, in this case, a white lady. But so really just talking about in general how we feel about that. So I guess first of all, it took us a good solid couple minutes to remember a video game with a gay character as the lead.
Yes.
And the only one that we could come up with was the Ballad of Gay Tony for GTA.
Yeah, GTA 4, I think DLC.
Not even GTA 4 DLC.
It was DLC. Yeah. It wasn't even in the game.
Yeah, and it was DLC.
DLC. Which is credit to Rockstar for doing that. Rockstar tends to be pretty
Rockstar really, it's interesting because Rockstar is like the company that usually comes under the gun for being completely absurd, and
which they are.
Yeah, which they are.
Deservedly so.
But yeah, they were pushing the boundaries a little bit with that one. That was not something that a lot of people were expecting to see, and more importantly, it did really well as a DLC. People really seemed to enjoy it. There are a gigantic subsect of video game players that I'm sure would like to see themselves represented in some way on screen. Be that females that are not, just wearing tiny tin.
That's more like a Lara Croft style character. Because even she's objectified to a certain extent, but I think her badassness is more than her being a female. If that makes sense. I think her and Nathan Drake, if we're going to talk of them as real people, stand in the same category. They don't. I think initially, especially with her block boobs, the triangle boobs was a big deal.
Lara initially was a sex object, for sure. But I think that with the reboot, and only with the reboot, did they take her seriously and give her due props and make a strong female character, which I think has resonated really well with the I guess the community of female gamers out there. I mean, I am not one, so please tell me if I'm wrong, but I assume that is kind of a better representation that you would prefer. But yeah, when you see like fighting games and things like that, and especially with RPGs are kind of notoriously shitty for it. I mean, the recent Final Fantasy 15 with that mechanic lady who was just literally just a walking pair of tits is ridiculous. And it almost seems like the higher level armor that they get, the less clothing they're wearing
versus the other way around. You're like,
which is kind of interesting. So for games that do allow you, like games like Elder Scrolls and things like that do allow you to kind of choose your what you look like and what you're wearing and things like that, you know, applause goes out to those guys.
It's weird because like even like sci-fi games, it's the interracial thing as well. Like you have like in Elder Scrolls as an example, you have lizard people, you have humans, you have elves, you have all these different types, and like people don't seem to have an issue with that.
They're allegories, really.
Yeah, but as soon as you bring in like something realistic, I think it's too real for people.
Yeah.
And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
And it is bizarre. It's a really weird thought, actually, that how you have like different races in games that are like made up fucking races and no one has a problem with it. But then, you know, if you were to just say like these are the black people of this game or whatever, then suddenly like the whole.
And I think some of it comes from stereotypes of it. So like if you think about like even Franklin's character in GTA 5, let's use that as an example.
Hardcore stereotype.
He's still very much a stereotype of what it is. Yeah. Or like the Ballers are very much based on Hispanic community. And yes, there's a reason stereotypes exist. I mean, it's like the stereotype of gamer being fat, lazy, and stupid. That's somewhat true. I mean, that's you sit in your basement, you play, or in my case, my living room, you play video games. That's what it is. And stereotypes exist for a reason, but I think a lot of times people use it too much. There's what's called an archetype. Are you familiar with what an archetype is?
An archetype, sure.
Archetyped. Basically, you kind of pinhole somebody into a role, which is what a lot of times actors and actresses try to get out of that. Which is why a lot of times, like with Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe got naked on Broadway because he didn't want to be known as Harry Potter, which is awesome. I think in video games, the problem is since you're creating the character, it's more easily to fall into something like that. And people kind of expect it to a certain extent that, like, this is the big burly man or the big burly woman that saves the day. This is...
And it always boils down to, as well, marketing, I'm sure. Like, it's a situation where you are beholden to publishers. You're beholden to people that are saying, like, you come up with your awesome idea for a character, right? And, you know, it could be any ethnicity, any sexual orientation or whatever. And the marketers are going to say, oh, but then people that are, like, our prime audience are not going to buy it. Like, they assume that the majority of people that play video games are the stereotype of a video game player.
Probably is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it probably is by a wide margin. But, like, you know, female gamers have definitely stepped it up as being a larger part of the community than they ever have before. Minority gamers, by default, are growing and, you know, with the communities in general. But it's just interesting to dwell on it for a second, and we talked about Watch Dogs 2 coming out and things like that, and wondering, like, even in Watch Dogs 2, like, the guy has a little bit of this kind of swagger to him, which is, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to say, 'cause this guy is black, we have to make him speak in Ebonics or have a little swagger or whatever it is that you associate with that community. Much the same as if this character is gay, it doesn't have to mean that that's the defining thing of his character. Like in the Ballad of Gay Tony was a little bit bad for that, but you know, but
because that's what it is essentially. Is they're basing off of that. Because Rockstar is known for doing super over the top stuff, so that kind of in their world kind of makes sense.
Yeah, of any company to get away with it. Perhaps Rockstar has somewhat.
That being said, like somebody like if we were gonna take like I don't know Fallout or something and put a female character in there, think about the female character you first run into in the game. It's the mom or you, depending on which way. But if you build a male character, you run into the female lead who's stereotypical mom. That's about all. That's it. There's nothing more to her, and I don't think you run into any other human female characters other than what's her face, the companion. Can't think of her name right now.
There's a couple. I don't know.
Yeah. The one with the hat, the newsreader, whatever her name is. But even then, it's still like stereotypes of what females should be and how they should act, and it's dumb. Same thing with lesbian, gay, transgender. I don't think we'll ever see a transgender character.
I think we will. I think it's just
anytime soon.
soon, but I think we will eventually. The whole hopefully the world is starting to realize that those imaginary lines are ridiculous. But what I do really appreciate is companies like BioWare that at least give you the option. Like BioWare, if you ever play a Mass Effect game or even a Dragon Age game, like you get to choose. And they don't say no to romance. So like it's not like you cannot romance this particular group of people. You have to pick the girl that you're after if you're a guy character or vice versa. Like if you are a guy playing Dragon Age, you can choose to fall in love with a guy character and play that through as if it was completely video game stereotype the whole way through. Like everything is I hate to use this phrase, but like a normal video game past that. They don't overdo the fact that it's
just part of the game. It's not exactly. A big deal. Which is, I think it's kind of what we're getting, to close it up here. It's essentially what we want. What we're saying is, instead of making it the stereotype, over the top, what you think this thing is, just make it as part of their character and make it so that's who they are because of that, but that's not all they are.
It doesn't have to define them.
Yes.
Their character, their ethnicity, their sexual orientation doesn't have to define them. But you played, when you were a kid, you played through the entirety of Metroid before you realized that Samus was a girl. You played the whole thing, and you thought it was a guy the whole way. Don't fucking lie, you did. And then when she took that helmet off and you saw that it was a girl, you flipped shit.
Yep.
Didn't you?
So
what we're saying is, you can't put a helmet on every single character in every single game and just be like, okay, this is video game character number 1. But let's treat every character with respect, and let's try and add diversity without pointing a finger at it.
Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and if you want to join the Level 2 Legion, click that little red button down there. I think it's either over here or over here. I can't tell which way. I don't know if
probably
I think it mirrors.
Below me.
I think it's below you.
Probably right.
I can't remember.
Right.
But if it's not there, it's here. But if you want to join the Level 2 Legion, we love every single one of you, and it's a lot of fun talking to all of you. So go ahead if you want to, just come join us. It's a party.
What else are you gonna do?